So,
Mr. Vice Chair.
Vice Chair Steve Lewis, I will call this meeting to order at 9:07. I'll be standing in for Janet, who is away. We can do the approval of events.
You can, if anybody happens
Yes.
to look at them online.
I did not get a copy of them, so my recommendation, and I didn't have a chance to look them up. So I would just say that my recommendation would be just take no action, take it up next month.
Fair enough.
Okay,
Good idea.
all right. We'll call that a motion,
No, it's just no action.
so we'll move on. Correspondence,
No, none.
hesitated, but
Well, I was trying to think if there was anything I was getting, and there is not. There was not.
citizens' comments, don't see any, so we'll go on to committee business. Main Street reconstruction.
Well, we've had the 90% plans for a while. They were submitted to NECOG to submit to Lot SIP, but as we know, that program is way backed up and out of money for the moment. So we're lucky we got our sidewalks done when we did. That project was the largest portion of my request to DECD in my community investment fund application, which was submitted on the 30th on the deadline. So that is in. So cautiously optimistic. Those are the two avenues available to us for funding. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I feel like my application to CIF was pretty good.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Keep our fingers crossed indeed.
Just on that, I happened to be in Putnam on Grove Street Tuesday. To find out that I still can see good, which helps. They did all their sidewalks in Putnam, or at least on Grove Street, no curbing, the granite curbing.
Okay,
So I was just curious if we, depending on where some of this goes and some of the rethinking. Because sometimes I've seen them come back, during in the past where they may turn around and say, can you trim this? Down. It's just something to think about that maybe instead of having the granite, down Main Street that we do concrete.
we have entertained concrete, in fact, we meaning planning and zoning in this case, approved. No, didn't even approve concrete, approved, I think, asphalt curbing in one of LaValle's subdivisions based on ease of future maintenance. I mean, it just depends on where it goes.
Well, they did approve in that particular subdivision instead of a concrete sidewalk, a paved sidewalk.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's the one that you're referring to.
Yes, yes.
I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
like I said, if they're looking, it comes down to a cost thing that maybe, just keep it in the back of our minds. It's still one way of getting the sidewalks done and done appropriately. That may always be an option.
Right, that sort of thing always falls under the we'll burn that bridge when we get to it category. The granting agencies always reserve the right to give you less than you ask for, and often do. That's not my impression. Well, I think the Lot SIP generally approves what you send them. The CIF grant, they may do that. They may give a portion, but the other thing about that is that the way they've structured that one, they're going to do a total of 8 rounds. The one I just submitted to is round 3. It's a limited pool of communities that get to apply, and if whether or not they award it, like even if they turn you down, they actually are committed to providing feedback so that the towns can amend their applications and push them in. Again, and they're also, what they encouraged me to do was describe the whole master project, including even things that I was not asking funding for in this round. But that I'm expecting to flow out of that application into a later application. So that's also an option. So let's say they give us only enough to do the road, but not the sidewalk for some reason, or the other way around, they would say, we would expect you to amend your application to correct this deficiency and then come back to it.
Okay.
So you can play around there. But yeah, anytime. I think we just had that happen with the bridge, right? A certain amount was asked for and they gave,
Well, it's a 50%.
okay. So anyway, yeah, that's always a possibility. A long-winded way of saying that's a possibility. Where are we on the agenda, Mr. Chairman?
We're at B, now. Connecticut DEDC Community Investment Fund Grant Application.
No, which is actually what we were just talking about. So yeah, so that is in, and just as a reminder, the main piece of that ask is the reconstruction of Main Street and the sidewalks, closing the renovation funding gap on the 65 Main project and the Swanson Park and unnamed memorial park improvements. So the total ask was 3.88 million. I think the total project cost, when you include all the stuff that I leveraged in for other investment, in other words, not our match. But again, they're looking at these things like, what's the whole project beginning to end? I think I described it as like a $6 or $7 million project over time. So I don't know, we'll see. They're supposed to announce those at the end of September. And if we don't get it, I'll be amending it and going right out into the next round, which I assume opens up in October.
Okay. Good. Mentioned Swanson Park, and that's where we are. Veterans meeting date. So,
Nothing has been
Nothing.
set as a recap.
Okay.
Would you like to do that, or do you want to wait until after the summer?
I think we may as well wait until we find out whether we've been awarded the grant.
Got it.
Because-
So it's a good idea.
What's once that grant award comes through, we'll have to get serious about finalizing what the plan is.
When they talk about awarding on this round?
End of September.
End of September.
And I think they've been keeping a tighter time frame on this one than they have on some of their other announcements, because they're doing the rounds in such close succession. But we'll find out.
Okay. Then we'll go to D, which is ongoing committee business. And first item is A Riverside Drive lots of sidewalk project.
Nothing happening until NC comes back in the fall to start Lane Road. And the last pieces they have are the 2 stamped crosswalks.
Right.
Which, by the way, DOT put the flashing beacon in just the other day. In front of gas station convenience store. So NC is going to do the decorative crosswalk there, I believe, as well. And then they're going to do the stamped crosswalk that leads from Blaine to the ADA pad across from Blaine.
What's that?
Is that not tied to that at all?
Oh, that's Connecticut Water.
What are they doing?
They rerouted the water main down the driveway of the school. Versus. the town property.
Next up is Blaine Road intersection.
Look at this, we're going in such
I
good
know.
order. They're returning after Labor Day is what we
Yeah.
expect. The granite curbing was on back order, for lack of a better term, and that's when they expected it to come in, so that's good. We had a meeting on site, Amy and Janet and NC DPW, the fire marshal, and ECCD. We were all there to talk about, among other things, the problem for the fire departments in drafting. And we did come up with a solution that does not fundamentally does not interfere with the plan. I think we were just taking the taking a little away from the bump out on Blaine Road itself. So it won't be quite as wide into the end of Blaine Road, but coming off Riverside, nothing changes that profile. And that was the part that was troubling us looking at it. But everybody seemed happy with it.
And that's with the DPW and everything. Has anybody talked to the fire departments?
Well, that's what you just said.
Well,
No,
the fire
Jamie-
marshal was
Jamie
there.
Which is the fire marshal,
Oh,
which even though he was chief and everything. He's not the chief or whatever, you still should include and talk with the other departments that are involved.
Well, we can
Well, I mean,
go back again
I
to,
think that it's pretty, what do you think they can contribute? Just out of curiosity,
It
because I
just-
think
So
Jamie knows the overall needs, as does the town.
probably
for
more as,
accessing-
probably more as a courtesy.
Yeah, it's communications with them.
Right,
I mean, as I recall, we left that meeting, it doesn't really fundamentally change what they're doing now. So there's,
No, but it does lead to speculation. Oh, what is happening here? They're gonna reconstruct this. How does that affect us? You put all of that to bed right away and say, this is what we're doing, this is how you're still gonna be able to do X, Y, and Z.
Just keeping him in the loop, I
That's
guess,
right,
it's not a bad idea.
yeah, that's
Well,
fine, so
for that matter, you've got to keep everybody in the loop, start knocking on doors. Because everybody's going to be, what's happening? There's always going to be somebody that doesn't know.
Well, I
Give
think,
your
but
best.
I agree with that, but I think part of our mission would be to get it out on social media, try to do our best to, like you do with the road improvements, what's going on, so people know, but, the fire departments, there are a lot of members, and so that is one way to hit a lot of people at one time. So I don't think it's a terrible idea.
No, I'm not saying it's a
Yeah.
terrible idea, but I don't think it's wrong to have not thought to include them.
No,
I mean, at the input of somebody, there certainly wouldn't have been an easy way to get all 5 chiefs or 5 members of the department to show up.
it'd be only the two, would be community and West Thompson.
I would say those would be the two that would probably use it the most.
Yeah,
And it's definitely in this community's district for that area.
it could be something as simple as one email to the 5 chiefs to say,
yeah,
we've examined the problem and we found a solution that fundamentally does not change the way you're using it now.
Sounds good.
So,
And yeah, if we got an updated sketch, send it to them. You're still gonna be able to access it on the.
we don't happen to have an updated sketch. Armand said he could correct it on the fly, essentially without having to go to the trouble and expense to redraw it. But yeah, everybody sort of saw and agreed together on what was going to be done. And it just reduces the size of that island a little bit, not even an island, that bump out a little bit on the Blaine Road side. So they have room to pull up and drop their
So
boats.
they draft on the Blaine Road side, not Riverside.
They do. Yeah. Yeah, but
Oh,
they need
that's-
access to that impoundment.
Where
That
that
shall-
spillway is.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more on that?
Until they get here.
You were supposed to say somewhere in there River Milk, because that's next up, so.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You can float right into it this time.
I dropped the ball. I
Yeah.
dropped the ball. Actually, one more thing on the Blaine Road, it was, ECCD did get that grant funding extended. They thought that it was going to expire. But CTD did extend it. So Dan Mullins was there that same day we met. And they are going to come in and do the planting on the bump out. So that will happen. River Mill.
River Milk.
Big news, everybody mark your calendars, be there next Wednesday. The developer's coming back, we're gonna do a big, public presentation, progress update. On what has been happening. Cause as well, to the point about what people whisper in the background about, oh, what's going on? The same thing happens, obviously, with something as big as the river mill, and the speculation gets really kooky. Right, I have to correct things that are said a lot in private conversation. So it's gonna be 6:30 to 8 in place at the EDC meeting. It is in fact gonna be a special meeting of the Economic Development Commission. So Brian Yassino is gonna call it to order and open it. Amy's got a piece, I've got a piece, both attorneys, Gumpert's attorney and ours, and Gumpert are all gonna sort of take little pieces of, where have we been, where are we going, and importantly for us, how do we get there? Because we need to queue up an ordinance that's going to be coming up, because the only way you can get an ordinance passed is through town meeting. So again, to sort of say out front how we get to incentivize enough the assessment on the mill to make it feasible for the financing. The only way we can do it is to add an ordinance that refers to the blight statutes. It is not exactly a blight ordinance, but it is like one, and it enables us to give an assessment incentive that lasts up to 25 years. Otherwise, we cap out at 17 or 18 years with the one that we adopted a couple of years ago. And they just did, Gumpert and his team just did this exact same thing in Vernon. And I think they actually just closed on that project and are now going to be able to start moving forward on that. So we've really got to do that background work.
We really have to get numbers out for that town meeting too, because
Yes, we do. Yes, we
people
do.
don't like to hear the word blight.
Well, we're not going to use it. Right, it's,
AD.
yes, it's literally only used once in the ordinance itself. And that's to, hey, Pete,
Can I catch you?
They go away.
I heard it stop, it went clunk, 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 and I was wondering if you were up there. It was what?
It was hitting the cover outside. I turned it on this
The
morning.
other, I will
It did.
emphasize is let's make.
Huh?
I didn't know it was an exhaust.
Way ahead of time that the sound system, and I know certain people can project, but others cannot, that we have a good sound system for this meeting. Now, I know the rec department, did they not purchase that in conjunction with the library? We have that portable system that sounds,
okay, I don't know where that is.
I think
So,
it's in this building.
okay,
I think we need to make every effort to make that happen, because time and time again, we've had these big meetings and no good sound system.
Yeah,
And sometimes it's hard to hear.
it is. Will, question will be recorded.
we're gonna wait till Amy comes back. She was gonna arrange to have it live streamed. Now, I don't know what the capture mechanism is when we're doing that, but it's not being done as a Zoom meeting on my account or anything.
Well, I think the Board of Ed does live stream and they put their stuff up on YouTube, so. It's
Okay.
something, there's a way to capture it.
Yeah, so we
I
just need to make
believe.
sure. So we just need to make sure that that's wrapped up. And those are the details that Amy's been working on. She was gonna get one of the IT staff down to do that, so. I just don't know where to tell people to go for that at this point. But we'll make sure to do that as well. And obviously there'll be written minutes because it's an EDC meeting, so Lynn will be taking written minutes. But we'll get, yeah.
Good.
So, but, to your point about getting people out for the town meeting, we also need to get people out in that room. Because what happened the last time we had a presentation is we did have good turnout. But we didn't have anybody there prepared to ask the right questions. So a certain somebody took up a lot of oxygen soapboxing. Right. And that's not how we want the, I mean, it's only a half hour of Q&A. And I'll do my best to make sure to manage that anyway and not allow anybody to soapbox. But we want, in order to prevent that in part, there need to be multiple people asking questions. It's easier to prevent that if I've got multiple people with hands up. So,
We definitely want to give everybody a chance to talk.
You've got, members of EDC there that could be encouraged to.
Plus you can set the tone in the beginning, we only have a half hour. Keep it short, keep it concise.
Well, the last slide in that is set up
I
to do
saw
that.
that, yeah.
It's exactly that. And I will leave that up. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it should be good. It should be good. I've got invitations out to our, our wider network of state and federal folks. It was short notice, so we're not going to get a ton of people there. We'll probably get a couple of people from deep. Sebastian is going to come down from Boston from EPA.
Where do we stand on the environmental?
We can't do anything until the contract is signed. So we are going to do a little bit of an update there. Pam and Ken are working through that with DECD's lawyers. There's this whole series of documents that they've got to have in hand before the contract can be countersigned by DECD. One or two of them, what DECD is specifically asking for, either don't seem to exist or don't seem to exist in exactly the way. And we've run into this with DECD before. However, because I sent out that, wide swath of invites, including everybody from DECD, Binu Chandi gave me a call and said, hey, where are we? And I told her that, and she's like, oh. She essentially said, well, let me get involved. So hopefully that little piece in and of itself will shake this loose a little more. We do have the signed, for lack of a better term, letter of understanding from the current owner saying he will sign whatever we put in front of him. So that piece is at least theoretically resolved. Now we haven't had to put the actual grant in front of him yet, but I mean, there's no reason he shouldn't sign that. So then we can go. I mean, Binu did say to me that we could have started any of the work because we had the agreement in place, but that the reimbursement can't happen until after the contract is signed. Like, I wouldn't sign that either. I mean, I wouldn't start that work either if I hadn't seen it signed. So, which I think she understood. So EPA will be there, CT Deep will be there. Somebody from Blumenthal's and Courtney's offices may be there, not the senators or Rep. Courtney themselves, because they're in session that week. And May is trying to get here. I did not hear back from Senator Gordon on that one. But we'll have, at least some people in the room sort of in official capacities. I'd like to see some people there from DECD, not least because I'm going to be mentioning, oh, and I have my application in for the CIF fund, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But we'll see how that goes. See if anybody makes it.
And we're talking about recording that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes, oh yeah, that's through the school IT Brace is going to take that on.
Great.
So it'll be live streamed through YouTube. And then we'll be able to have a link for people to watch it after.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah. So, and where will people be able to find that link?
Well, we'll have to probably, I'm assuming, well, they can find it through YouTube. But we can also share the link on the website and Facebook page.
Yeah, we can do a news story, put it there, we can put it on.
It should
DEC's
actually, it
page.
should go into the minutes, actually. But because it's not coming through my Zoom account, I won't get it. So it'll just need to be sent to Lynn Luby to drop into the minutes.
Okay. That sounds good.
All right. On to 6:30 Riverside, right?
I mean, nothing right now. It's there was some private interest and the usual. The usuals.
Offer made, not accepted. Potentially.
Well, Renee was saying that there may now be a lien on that
Well,
property.
Andy Scott probably called a couple weeks ago. He hadn't understood that there was a lien on the property. And he found the lien and it was a mortgage, not a lien, a mortgage that his partner in that property took out on the property, and I don't know, from somewhere in Georgia or something, and he wasn't aware of it. So I don't know how I sent all that over to him,
Okay,
so.
Wow.
That's nice.
so,
And I think it was, don't quote me, but it wasn't a low amount, I'm saying like 300,000 or something. I'll dig it up. I have the email so I can forward that to both of you.
nothing gets simpler over there.
It's amazing how one partner doesn't know what the other partner's doing.
He didn't even know that we had a grant awarded on that property, he said.
Oh, Andy?
When we had that conference call with him,
Well, how would he know?
he's the owner. He has to have known. We can't have,
Sean was his representative dealing with Andy
Oh, you mean the
overall
the environmental study?
Yeah.
he didn't even
Yes,
know.
yes, oh,
He didn't even know.
well,
You know. Not exactly a
high priority for him.
activist owner.
And, I'm sorry. Lastly, in community business is 65 Main.
We just sent, I just sent yesterday over to Amy and Marie to get on the Board of Selectmen agenda for Tuesday, the recommendation to award the contract for the roof. Turns out we only had one bidder, but it is the same company that just did the library roof, so the activation should be able to flow pretty quickly over there. Hazmat RFP is open. The deadline was originally today. We extended that to Tuesday because Brian Santos wrote up a couple of addenda to give that time. We had a site walk last Thursday and 6 firms showed up. And I actually opened it up for a 7th firm yesterday. She didn't, her company hadn't seen it initially, so I gave them a walkthrough. So I expect we'll have bids in on that. And then the next piece after that, I expect will be the foundation, but I have to talk about that with Brian. Obviously, we're trying to be as efficient as possible with the existing $240,000 award because we know it's not enough. And we're just going to keep doing work until we run out of money and hope that the CIF fund comes through. And if it doesn't, we'll have to find another solution for whatever we can't get done with the original award. Which in the absence of the CIF fund may involve me going back to Blumenthal and Murphy and asking if they can help me get that extended somehow or resubmitted for an additional award. I had mentioned that, I think it was to Senator Murphy when he was here earlier in the year. And it was sort of like a we'll talk kind of a situation. But it is moving forward. The other side of that, which is the planning grant, we got the contract finally signed. It actually had been signed in April. I didn't get it back until the beginning of June, but the partners are meeting now monthly. I have an RFP that's going to publish on Monday for the permaculture consultant for the landscape design for the 3.2 acres of the backside of Riverside Park. So we have that as a deliverable no later than 1 year, but it shouldn't take that long. That's just the outside for that piece of the plan. The main activity of that planning grant is the public workshop, which we're going to kick off in October. Specific time frame in October TBD, but in the intervening months, the project partners are going to sort of figure out how we want that workshop to flow. What are the materials? Who are we inviting? How are we engaging? Are they going to be live? Is it going to be live and online? All those little details. So we'll have those worked out and we'll launch that in October and run it for a year. And then after that, I write the action plan, business plan, sustainability plan, and either we will, and my plan is to go out to round 7 or 8 of CIF on that. And that's built into the grant that I just submitted. I indicated that these applications are coming in later rounds. So both for the construction of the landscaping and for the the activation of the center, including startup funds for businesses, because that is an allowable activity. So, so the strategy is all there and the pieces are now all moving. And construction's gonna start on that roof and the hazmat demo, so it's all gonna be active. And good timing because of the Superior Bakery thing and the St. Joseph School thing and the brewery, like it's all gonna be sort of flowing one thing into another. It's gonna finally be starting to do what we've wanted, what we've said we wanted to see, which is activity. And that'll be encouraging, I think, for people.
Who is the roof contractor?
Young Developers LLC out of Hamden.
Well, other committee business, Ryan was gonna discuss biodiesel tank funds. But
He's not here.
Anyway, so. Skip that one for next time. Member comments? Fine.
Comments, Joanne?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, hearing that, we're on to adjournment. At
9:38.
9:38.
Good, quick meeting, guys.
Excellent.
Worked out
See you
great.
Wednesday.
Have a good one, Joanne.
Okay, see you, Joanne.